Hello, good day and welcome. I will be answering WASSCE 2020 Physics Past question 43. Which of the following statements about the process of melting of a solid are true? The temperature of the solid will 1. Remain steady until melting starts. 2. Keep rising until melting starts. 3. Remain steady as melting proceeds. 4. Keep rising as melting proceeds. And that is it. Now option A says 2 and 3 are correct. Option B says 3 and 4 only are correct. Option C says 1, 2 and 3 only is correct, and option D says 2, 3 and 4 only is correct. Now, when heat is applied to a solid, certain changes occur, but before these changes occur, there must be an increase in temperature in this solid. Now let's represent this graphically using a graph. Let's assume this is the temperature and here is the time in minutes, and this is what temperature in degrees Celsius. Now let's assume heat is applied to a solid. Now when heat is applied to a solid, this heat in the solid will continue, the temperature of the solid will continue to increase until it gets to a point, the melting point of this solid, where this solid begins to melt into liquid. Now this melting point, let's call it the melting point. At this melting point, the temperature do not increase. The temperature remains the same. It remains uniform until the entire solid has changed to liquid, and then the temperature again begins to increase. The temperature then begins to increase. So at this point, we call this point the melting. We call it the melting process, because at this point, this is where the solid changes to liquid, so it is a melting process, and at this point the temperature remains constant. It does not change. But before it reaches the melting point, what happens? The temperature increases. So when heat is applied to a solid, temperature increases. The temperature increases until the solid begins to melt. Now at this melting point, that is when the melting starts, the temperature remains constant. It remains steady. So during melting process, temperature remains steady. Now from this, you see that statement 2 is correct, that is keep rising until melting starts. It keeps rising until the melting starts. So statement 2 is correct. Now statement 3 says remain steady as melting proceeds, which is also correct. It remains steady as the melting proceeds. Now 1 says remain steady until melting starts, it is wrong, and 4 says keep rising as melting proceeds, which is wrong. So the answer to this question is option Option A is the answer to this question. That is, statements 2 and 3 only are correct. Thank you, and subscribe to our channel for more videos.